Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon. I'm a board-certified music therapist and certified neurologic music therapist working here locally in South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. We are a private music therapy practice serving medical, educational, and community-based settings throughout Southeast Florida. If this is your first time tuning in, we're so glad you're listening tonight. We use this opportunity to shine a spotlight on the creative approaches to medical needs, to educational needs that we all have in our community. Music, as I can speak personally, is something that reaches us all, no matter what our age, our background, our culture, and art is another way that we are reached, no matter who we are, what stage of life we're in, and we have the incredible honor, I have the incredible honor of being able to talk to Dr. Myra Levick tonight, who is one of the pioneers in the field of art therapy. I was lucky enough to be introduced to her by a colleague in the field, Candy Cohn, who's also here today. And I know that I had a very difficult time stopping our conversation then. I just wanted to sit all day and learn about everything that she's done and done for the field of art therapy, but the creative arts in general. So I know you'll love hearing from Dr. Myra Levick today. And also we're going to be talking to Candy Cohn, who's the assistant director of the Maine Arts Camp. There are so many different ways that music and art can add to a camp, which we see a lot in different camps that come up. We're coming into time to register for camps, as there's several in the spring and summer. But what I love about Candy's program is that is the focus of her camp, is embracing the arts. And not only that, but taking it to the next level of how we can leave this camp and keep the arts in our lives afterwards. And I know personally, having gone to a performing arts camp when I was younger for many years and growing up and working at the camp, those were some of my favorite memories as a child, being a part of that, the connections that I made from that, and most importantly, the self-esteem that I gained from doing that. Believe it or not, I was once very shy. I would never think about going on stage to sing or dance or do anything. And really it was, I can attribute a lot of the self-esteem that I have now to be able to speak in front of people, to sing in front of people, and do the career that I'm lucky enough to have because of cultivation like that summer camp. So I'm really excited to share about her program with you all tonight. This is perfect timing because, as many of you may know, yesterday was International Women's Day. So we're a day late, but I don't do a show on Tuesday, so we're going to celebrate it today with some women that are doing incredible things in the creative arts fields. On a more somber note, the music community lost a huge pioneer icon named today, Sir George Martin, who, if you don't know, was unofficially called the fifth Beatle, which Paul McCartney tweeted out a really lovely tribute today saying if anyone could claim that title, it was George Martin, producer, who started the Beatles' career, I believe, and really continued with them. Even until recent years, I believe that he and his son were involved in directing the Love Cirque du Soleil show out in Las Vegas. So truly the entire career of the Beatles, Sir George Martin was involved in that. So we're going to, in a few minutes, do a tribute to him on behalf of musicians and music lovers everywhere, because we certainly cannot go without recognizing the legacy that he has left. Before we do our musical tribute today, our sing-along, as we've come to call it, I want to share a little bit of biographical information about our first guest, about Dr. Myra Levick, because, like I said, there's so much to talk about. I know we're not going to be able to fit everything in that she has done in her 92 years on this earth. Amazing, and still working, and just this week picked up a new job that we're going to talk about as well. But I'm going to let her share all of that. Here's a little bit of her background information. Myra Freeman Levick, the art psychotherapist, educator, licensed psychologist, certified and a certified medical psychotherapist. Achievements include the development of the Lewick Emotional and Cognitive Art Therapy Assessment. She is the recipient of a humanitarian award from the Ronald Bruce Nippon Association, the Achievement Award from the Florida State Association, a member of the National League of American Penwomen, and also a National Institute of Mental Health grantee. In addition to all of this, she's going to talk really in depth about what she's done specifically for the field of art therapy, what she continues to do for it. But one of the biggest things that I can think of is that she is responsible for founding the American Art Therapy Association, which is huge. We spoke at length when we were able to get together about how music and art therapies have kind of grown together to support one another. They fit so well together. So she's worked closely with music therapists, and not only music therapists, but also the development of Creative Arts Therapies program. And I'm going to let her explain a little bit more about what that means. One more thing I wanted to add was some of the books that she's written. She wasn't busy enough. She had to write books as well. So here are a few of her books, and I'll let her share more about this later, how you can get access to them if you're interested in finding these books. One is called They Could Not Talk, So They Drew, Children's Styles of Coping and Thinking. Mommy, Daddy, Look What I'm Saying, What Children Are Telling You Through Their Art. And this was another edition of that book, See What I'm Saying, What Children Tell Us Through Art. And that was the second edition released in 1998. So when Myra comes on, Dr. Levick, I'm going to let her tell you about what the process of writing those books and where you can find them, because I know after hearing her speak, you'll be very interested in learning more. So before we get to our wonderful interviews today, I did promise a sing-along, which we'll do as a tribute to the late Sir George Martin, producer for the Beatles, unofficially the fifth Beatle. As I said, many have claimed, but if you get an endorsement from Sir Paul that you can say you're a fifth Beatle, I would say that's pretty official. So in honor of International Women's Day, we're going to do In My Life, a classic Beatles song. And I want you to think about, during this song, who are the women in your life that have inspired you? Whether that's to be creative, along with our theme today, whether it's to express yourself through music or through art, through dance or rhythm, or just anything. Who are the women in your life that you celebrate this week for International Women's Day? There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All these places have their moments. With lovers and friends, I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I've loved you more. In my life, I've loved you more. That's our tribute today to Sir George Martin. Thank you for the legacy that you've left with us all, continuing to inspire generations through the music that you produced. As always, we are active on Twitter and Facebook and other social media channels, so please let us know who the women are in your life that have inspired you, whether it's creatively through the arts or in any way in your life. We'd love to hear back from you. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we come back, I am so excited to introduce you to Dr. Myra Levick. Thank you so much for listening.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon, and tonight we are celebrating women in the creative arts field, which, if you are in the creative arts field as a music therapist or art therapist or dance and movement therapist, you probably know that a majority of our field is filled with strong women. Who are passionate about the work that they do. And I'm so thrilled to be able to introduce one of those such women to you today, a pioneer in the field of art therapy, Dr. Myra Levick. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's an honor. Absolutely. So we'll start at the very beginning. How did you get involved in art therapy?
Well, to be very honest, it was a deal with my husband that started the whole thing. We were in I was graduating high school. He was graduating pre-med. And those days back in 1942, you did not live with somebody. So we decided the only way we could get married was if I went to work, gave up a scholarship. I was an artist. I'd been an art major. And it was really quite a thing because they were looking for women. It was wartime. So it was very easy for me to get a job. So we did it. And the deal was that when we could afford it, I go back to art school. So fast forward 17 years, 3 children. 3 daughters, aged 10, 8, and 7. And I went back to art school and said, it's your turn. And so I went back to art school, no continuing ed, but I did Moore College of Art in Philadelphia in 5 years. Very exciting. I was one of 3 older women in the classroom, that's all. And then I was all set to go on for my master's in history of art, even though I was a painter and had gotten a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I wasn't about to go into an attic and compete with Picasso. I wasn't sure I could do it. And so instead, I was going to be a teacher, professor, major in history of art. A little sign on the bulletin board said a psychiatrist was looking for an artist to work with the mentally disturbed people. And he had just opened the first open unit in Philadelphia, incidentally in my husband's hospital, and they were quite upset about this. Didn't tell my husband, called up, applied for the job, and got it. Announced it to my husband, who thought maybe I should be admitted. But here I was in the milieu, the psychoanalytic milieu of Philadelphia, and being trained to understand how people communicate in their imagery. And as an artist, I knew what it felt like, and that was the crucial issue to the director of the unit. He knew all about art therapy. I didn't have a clue. 5 years I had learned. I had started to write articles. And in 5 years, the director of the unit was invited to start the first community mental health center in Philadelphia. Mental Health Act had been invoked, and in fact, they were emptying all the state hospitals. And so he announced, we're going to Hahnemann Medical College, and guess what? I convinced them we're going to start the first graduate training program in art therapy. And since you are now the only one that knows anything besides the 100 that we found were working in the country. That was all at that time in 1967. And so we went to Hahnemann, had our first class. I went as an adjunct professor, and I wasn't allowed to be the director of the program, even though I did all the work. You had to be an assistant professor. And I'll make this short. A tragedy happened. Dr. Goldman, my mentor, original inspiration, died suddenly at 39. And when the dean of the graduate school called the meeting at the end of that year and said, well, who's going to run the program? And they all looked at him and said, we don't know anything, only Myra does. And the dean said, well, Sarah, to my chairman, you're going to have to make her an assistant professor. And that's how I started up the ladder, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
Anyway, we started the first program, and then the faculty was so fabulous. They said, do you want to do any more? And they took me to psychiatric conferences, and we wrote articles. And it was fascinating. I began to meet art therapists from around the country. And I decided, let's get together and start an organization. And so we had the first meeting at Hahnemann in 1968. And we were 5 founders. And we met, and we decided that over that year we would plan a constitution and organize the association. It was just amazing. We met the following year in Louisville, Kentucky, 100 art therapists from all over the country. And I had learned that in Europe this was going on for 50 years. In the arts, they were way ahead of us, way ahead of us. And so we started the association. I was one of 5 founders elected as the first president. And the sad part is that I am now the last one standing. So I'm like the last of the Mohicans, if you will. And it's kind of sad. But we were not young when we were really working in this and struggling to get it going. The association today, I think we must have over 4,000 art therapists in the country.
Wow.
Just incredible.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's wonderful. You're talking about your role in the graduate program and the association. I mean, you really have been at the ground floor for seeing all of this grow. Are you still involved with the association?
Yes, I am. I'm, in fact, the current president, Donna Betts, just decided, after we've been talking about it for years, to have an advisory board of the remaining honorary life members. There's no remaining founders. They're honorary life members, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And so if she has a problem, she's going to call us. She knows that this program is on tonight, because I said, if you have anything you want me to scream about or talk about, let me know.
Please call. Let us know.
And she did. And also the executive director. They are located in Alexandria, and the association is very active. And we are still, after 47 years, struggling with licensing.
Yep.
As you well know, Bree.
Absolutely.
Especially in Florida. Mm-hmm. And I am very excited that I just got an email just yesterday that the 10th state has passed a bill.
Congratulations.
Licensing our therapists.
Wonderful.
10 states in this whole country. But that's quite a step. But only 47 years. Yep. If I live another 47, it'll be great, right? You'll tell me about it when we meet someplace. You said something before, Bree, about the creative arts, and I would like to say that the most amazing thing that happened in my career, one of the most amazing things, was that we were approached by the Music Therapy Association, which was really more organized than the Art Therapy Association, and the Dance Therapy Association, that was pretty much on a par with us, to develop an umbrella program including all 3 disciplines, which was a remarkable thing, and really the first and only program in the country that trained art, music, and dance therapy students. I got a grant from the National Institute of Mental Health, and I remember the chairman telling me, you can handle it. You'll just teach all of them. I said, yeah, well, no way. I said, you want this program? There's going to be a music therapy director, who you probably know, Cindy Briggs. There's going to be a dance therapy director, Diane Dulakai, who was working as a dance therapist at Bronx State Hospital. And I said I would hire someone else than our therapist, one of my graduates, and I would organize it. I would coordinate it. But no way was I going to teach other disciplines, but we would understand and appreciate. That program became last year a doctorate program. It is still at what we call a Hahnemann Drexel, because Drexel took over Hahnemann. But in fact, I just got a note from a couple of the students telling me they went to the celebration of the New Jersey license. So I'm still in touch, and it's now a doctorate program, which is just wonderful.
And
a PhD.
so that's, like you said, that's now Drexel University. And where
Yes.
is that located?
Drexel University is just down the road from Hahnemann Medical College, and it's in Center, Philadelphia. And it was an institute of technology, which is interesting, and is now a very, very fine university. It really handles and teaches and trains people in many, many fields, except for the medical school. They did not take over the medical school. So it is still Hahnemann Medical College, but Drexel University. And the programs are all well and alive, thanks to Drexel.
My goodness, absolutely. Yeah, so it's the Creative Arts Therapy program with all of that has become a doctorate program.
Yes, and all three are now in the doctorate. And I will tell you what is unique about the program, because there was an expressive therapies program at Leslie, which I'm sure you know, that trained art, music, dance, and theater, I believe. But they were all together, and it was an expressive therapies. While this program at Drexel now is 3 separate disciplines. There's a core curriculum, but each have their own curriculum for their specific discipline, and their degree identifies their discipline.
And when we spoke before, I was sharing that the year that I left Rochester, the school that my alma mater, Nazareth College, had added a similar style Creative Arts Therapies master's program. And one of my closest friends and one of our therapists, Karen, who's been a guest here on the show, she's completed that program. And from what I've learned from her about the program, it sounds very similar to Drexel in that you learn to appreciate and understand the other therapies, and other therapists, but aren't necessarily going out in the field doing art therapy, doing dance therapy. Your primary is as your music therapist, whatever your credentials are, but you have that appreciation.
Yes, my philosophy was, and I'm so glad to hear that it's being followed there, because it's not in other places. The philosophy was that we all attend each other's classes the first year and understand the uniqueness of each one. And never do we presume that we can do it. Our backgrounds are different. Dancers, dance movement therapists are dancers. You are a musician. I was an artist.
Right.
And so we maintained that, defining the 3 disciplines very specifically.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's still that way.
That's wonderful. You mentioned about Drexel, and much like your story and almost everyone who I interview who's in music, art, or dance movement therapy, and I asked that question of how did you come into this field and find out, I think I was very lucky that I found out before I went into school the first time, because most people don't. We don't know about it. We don't even know these fields exist. And I remember being a junior in high school and just finding out for the first time, like I shared with you, I was applying for psychology and vocal performance degrees, art and psychology, right? Like you were saying, just thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to put it together, make something of it. And I remember very distinctly, I have an image of my kitchen table of getting a Drexel, one of the first college mailers I got, talking about the music therapy program. That was one of the first indications I ever had, and I didn't think about that until you mentioned that program. So
Yes,
your influence
really
certainly is still living on there, because look at
It's just wonderful. And when I
wouldn't even know.
when I go back to Philadelphia, I usually go up to the school. And the most wonderful other thing happened when I was doing my PhD at Bryn Mawr. A classmate was a nurse who was also doing her PhD. And when I retired, they moved the program into the School of Professional Mental Health Professions. And they hired a new dean, and it was my classmate.
Oh.
And she is so excited. She was so excited. We had a big luncheon, and at the 30th anniversary of the program, they had a big party and honored me, and which was just tremendous. Students were there, teachers were there, and Gloria Donnelly, my classmate from Bryn Mawr, was the dean, which was just very, very exciting. She has supported it, and she has guided it into the PhD program, for which is just wonderful.
That is wonderful. And so you went into the master's program, helped develop that program, and at that point thought, I'd like to go back to school again.
No. I went back to school before that. Oh, no, I did not want to go back to school. Let me tell you how I got back into a PhD program. That's a nightmare. In 79, you talked about writing the books and why I was writing. I'd written lots of articles. And now in 79, I go to my chairman, I say, I have a great idea. I was teaching Anna Freud's work, particularly coping mechanisms of defense in the first year. That was part of the core curriculum. And I said, I'd really like to illustrate Anna Freud's book. And I said, I know you know her. We had a connection with her. And the dean said, Myra, great idea for a dissertation. I said, it was a great idea to go crazy. I said, no dissertation. He said, oh, yes. He said, I'll make another deal. So this was the second deal in my life. And just recently I said that really my professional career's bookended with two deals. One with my husband, one with my chairman, who said, if you go back to school, you're a full professor at this point in 1979, but we all think you have a PhD. So go back and get your PhD. I will not only get permission for you to illustrate Anna Freud's book, I will get you a job there for a month so that you may work with her. Went home, told my husband, I said, isn't the chairman crazy? He said, great idea. So we ended up, first I ended up at Bryn Mawr again, worked on my PhD, and then that was my dissertation. Actually, I think that's why I got in. I never thought I would, as an artist primarily, and a master's from Temple in adolescent psych. But the chairman of the department was intrigued with what I told her point blank, I'm here because, and repeated the story. And she said, I love the idea. She said, here's the application, come back tomorrow. And they were wonderful. They supported me, and I had a sabbatical and went to England and worked with Anna Freud and collected drawings. And that's how the first book, which is still a textbook, was published right after I graduated from Bryn Mawr.
Do you hear feedback from students who have read your textbook?
I was somebody, a friend of my daughter's, I was just at an art show, and she was an art therapist at Pratt, I believe, and she said, oh, it's so nice meeting you. She said, I remember sitting in class and studying your book.
Wow, that has,
Yes.
What does that feel like, hearing that?
I can't describe it, Bree. It's pretty exciting, and it's pretty special. It
Absolutely.
really is.
It is so special. When we met earlier and you were mentioning some names of music therapists that you've worked with along the way, I thought, well, I don't know these people, but I read all their textbooks in college.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Like Ken Bruce and so many of the others. They were
Absolutely.
just wonderful young people that I met because of the music therapy program, and the same in the dance field. Yes.
And I can only imagine for the students and now professionals that are getting to the opportunity to meet you and connect with you because you are still so active, what a special experience it is for them as well. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Myra Levick. Thanks so much for listening.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer, Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thanks so much for joining us. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon, here with my guest tonight, Dr. Myra Levick. art therapist, art psychotherapist, and also Candy Cohn, assistant director of the Maine Arts Camp. We're going to be talking to both of them in the next segment here. Just wanted to follow up, Dr. Levick, on some of the things you're sharing about your background and kind of the coming together of the field and watching it blossom and become so established over the last several years. What would you say is your personal philosophy as an approach to an educator and as an art psychotherapist?
Well, one of the things that I learned in those first 5 years that I worked as an art therapist at the psychiatric unit was that every theory in psychology and psychiatry really emanates from the psychoanalytic theory, even though it's been denied over the years and everybody says Freud was crazy. They've all come back to it. And if you read psychology books today, they're back to coping mechanisms instead of defense mechanisms and so on. So my philosophy has always been to understand developmental psychology from the psychoanalytic and psychodynamic perspective. The other thing I think that I can sum up very quickly is the most important of all. I believe, and trained our students to believe the same, that we never accept a specific theory, that rather we want to know what's wrong with the patient, what the patient's needs are, and we are not looking to do something we like to do. We want to do something that requires attention to the patient, and that is number one. And that has been my philosophy in training, in education, and in practice.
And it lends itself so well to your new opportunity, if you want to share about that.
I would love to. I was just asked to be an advisor and a member of the board, a director of the Boca Raton Promise, breaking the silence about teenage suicide, which is unbelievably high in the entire country, breaking the silence about mental illness in children. And it's interesting, they just became aware of the group that there is depression in early childhood. That was something that we learned years ago, but not very much talked about, that actually little children are depressed. And I'm delighted to have this opportunity to work with them because they are now moving into not just making people aware of the symptoms, but beginning to look at the arts, Bree.
Wonderful.
We finally made it after all these years, right? Looking at the arts for intervention, what the arts can do to help people with mental illness. And, of course, we know it's incredible. It's really just amazing and always has been. So that's a very exciting experience. And, of course, you mentioned my age, which I'm delighted to be here at this point. But it's wonderful because they have appreciated what I have to offer and have invited me to share with them. And that's very exciting.
It is.
And
Congratulations.
they're a wonderful, wonderful group. Just have done major work in bringing awareness.
And that is in the school district, is that right?
They are making counselors, parents, and teachers aware of the symptoms. In addition to that, they've been, I guess, doing this for several years, and there are a number of teenagers who have been rescued, who are now part of their team, and I've heard them speak, and it's just wonderful.
How powerful.
Yes, it is powerful.
Movement, organization to be a part of.
Tremendous. Started by a school counselor, Rita Thrasher, who is just an amazing woman, and Marilee. The two of them are just rather phenomenal.
That's great. That's great. Again, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Really quickly, which I know probably won't be that quickly because it's both of our soapbox. Licensure.
Nightmare.
Now, and I feel like just a couple years, I feel like, oh my goodness, excitement from it, but a little bit of frustration. I talk about a lot in the show. I have nothing to be complaining about. You have been in the trenches of this for a long time.
I would say so.
Yes.
I'll just very quickly tell you that the basic problem is, in this country, every state is different.
Yeah.
So they each have something different and different rules and different regulations and different criteria. So that starts off with a bit of baggage. However, there is a big problem right now. The Counseling Association is very much involved in preventing art therapists and creative arts therapists from getting licenses in our discipline. And to date, there are finally 10 states in the country that have specific licensure for art therapists.
Wonderful.
And that's just wonderful. I just heard about Vermont yesterday and immediately wrote off a quick congratulations to the association there. But it's just amazing. And Florida is I'm on the air, I'm going to say it, one of the toughest. They are one of the few states that will practice no reciprocity. I could not come here and practice with a license. With my psychology license from Pennsylvania, didn't go. They invited me to become a counselor, and I denied that nicely, not so nicely. And I've worked here as a contract person, and in particular institutions or facilities. And so I have practiced art therapy legitimately in Florida, not as an art therapist, but as employed by someone, and that's been fine with me because I've really enjoyed it, and I've never stopped doing it.
We talked a little bit about kind of our trips to Tallahassee and all of that, and you've made a few of those.
Just very quickly, I went to Tallahassee to appeal the fact that they rejected, after inviting me, to submit an application to get someone to give CEUs when I was running a seminar, because I couldn't provide continuing education without a license in Florida. And they heard my credentials, PhD, Bryn Mawr, so. And they said, oh, you can do it. I applied, was rejected, so I was told to appeal. Appealed, and it turned out they brought me there under false pretenses. I was very qualified, just with my credentials, to give continuing ed, but they thought I should get a counseling license. And Bree, the response was, with a counseling license, you can do anything you want to do. That's pretty sad. And of course, we both know that creative arts therapists in the state of Florida have, in fact, taken counselor license, and that's true in other states. And that really breaks my heart, because it's just not fair. I mean, no one should be doing art therapy or dance therapy or music therapy unless they are trained. And now we're having coloring books, adult coloring books, and we won't get into that. I won't spare the time. But it's really very sad that after all these years we are still fighting. Now we're fighting jealousy, I think, and awareness that art and the creative arts are really special and unique.
I love that, how you frame that, and I think both of our fields are starting to pick up that momentum. I saw today, I can't remember what state it was, but this week our association, our certification board, was posting about some efforts, and the music and art therapy were working together on the same bill in that state to support each other.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. Candy, Candy, you are the reason that we're all in this room together. Thank you so much for being here. Would you mind just starting by sharing how you know Dr. Levick and how this all came to be?
Sure. So my mother lives at a senior living community in Deerfield Beach, and Myra lives there as well. And my mother introduced me to Myra a few years ago and just told me she's from Philadelphia, and maybe told me she does something with the arts, and she might have known that she was an art therapist. But, of course, I didn't know the extent of who she was and what she had done with her life. But we got to talking, especially since I run an arts camp. And
absolutely. That would pique your interest.
Yes.
For sure.
And then I did a little research online, looked up, Googled Myra Levick, and found her on LinkedIn. And I said, oh, my goodness. And then I contacted some of her connections on LinkedIn, and they all were just in awe that I know Myra Levick. So, and Myra's been wonderful. She's become a friend, and I'm really thrilled to know her.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Myra.
And I check on her with her mother.
Is Mom listening?
Yes.
Tonight, good.
Hi, Mom.
And so how did you get involved with the arts camp?
Well, I really, through my significant other, he has a summer camp referral business, and he was a school teacher. And he, in running his summer camp referral business for, when I met him, it was probably 18 years that he had been running it, and he kind of did his own market research. He knew, he had spoken to thousands of parents, and he knew what they were looking for that was missing. So he saw a niche that needed to be filled for an arts camp with more, they wanted more enrichment, less team sports, more arts. And he's not real artsy, but I am. So we were a great team for starting this camp together, as well as having a partnership in life. So it's been wonderful.
That's wonderful. Good balance for each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
For sure. What are some of the different types of activities that you offer?
Well, we focus on the arts, both visual and performing arts. So for visual arts, we have painting with acrylics, watercolors. We have drawing. We have cartooning and anime. We have pottery, both on the wheel and hand building, stained glass, metal jewelry, sculpture. Sometimes we do bookmaking. Sometimes we add different arts depending on who our counselors and instructors are that year. If they have a specialty that they want to offer, we consider it. Then in performing arts, we have music ensemble with whatever instruments the kids have. We know in advance, so we can put it together in a way that makes sense. We have beginner guitar. We have chorus, musical theater, acting, 3 types of dance, modern, contemporary, hip-hop, and we throw jazz in there as a mix. Zumba we offer. We have a beginner's acting class and a beginner's dance class. You know, we really encourage kids to try something new and not worry about being good at it. So we just recently added these beginner acting where they don't have to perform, because at the end we do a final showcase, and some kids really don't want to ever get up on stage, but they do want to try it. So it's been really great to offer these beginner classes as well.
So do you have to kind of pick a lane when you come in, whether it's the visual arts or performing arts, or is there an opportunity to try? I know you mentioned trying something new.
Right. There's an opportunity. You don't have to major in a certain field or anything. It's completely an elective schedule, so the kids pick their activities before they come to camp, and they get 10 activities. So we're on a block schedule, so they get 5 activities on every A day and 5 different activities every B day. And they know before they get to camp what activities they've been assigned to. We ask them to choose 17 activities in a couple months before camp. If they sign up late, it happens quickly. And then Rick does all the scheduling. Rick's my significant other and the camp director.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick. Yeah. So, sometimes there's a scheduling conflict, and he does his best to give them their top 10 choices.
Sure. That sounds so fun. Don't you want to go, Myra?
Absolutely. Well, I've been very lucky, and that's probably what your mom knew. She knew that I painted, and the management where we live gave me the art room.
Right.
And said I can go down there every weekend and paint. So I am continuing to be an artist, and I've been exhibiting over the past years, which has just been wonderful for me.
Absolutely.
My own particular relaxation, pleasure, therapy.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So we can see how, for you and I being in the professional end of this is fostering
This is wonderful.
so much
Wonderful.
creativity and going to probably open doors for a lot of kids to be interested in fields like the creative arts. It's so exciting.
Yes.
Have you connected with any music art therapists or movement therapists?
Yes, in fact, over the last couple years, partially because of Myra, it just inspired me. I thought I should be reaching out to these expressive arts therapists. And I have. I've really gone out of my way to contact a lot of them. Some were in Myra's network on LinkedIn. And we, in fact, have a counselor, an instructor, and a counselor who's coming back. And she's finishing up her graduate work in dance therapy.
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
So we love having her on staff, and we would welcome the opportunity to have some other art therapists on staff.
So you need a music therapist, right?
Yes.
All right, and a music therapist up in Maine. I know one, Carla. Carla, connect us. That's great.
Yeah.
We're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we come back, learn more about the camp, how to specifically get in touch with both of you ladies if anyone has any questions. Stick around.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show.
She wrote before I tear the house down.
Thank you so
she
much
better
for
get
joining us. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We are celebrating International Women's Day, a day late, but that's all right. And I have the honor of sitting across from two wonderful women who are encouraging, promoting, and supporting creative arts therapies in our community. Before we continue about the camp, Candy, we were talking quickly over the break about, some of the challenges that we've had in the state as far as licensing goes, but there are so many amazing opportunities locally, and in each of the communities throughout the state, I'm sure, has bright spots that are embracing the arts. And one of them for you has been the Miami-Dade School District.
The Miami-Dade School, which is an amazing model, it's really the model for the country, started about 30-some years ago with an art therapist who graduated from our program and pulled me into meetings every year. When we came down, they have the clinical art therapy program that services all the children in the district with special needs. And it's just been a program that keeps going and going. And now one of my young mentees, Craig Siegel, who was one of the art therapists there, is now the director of that program. Janet Bush initiated, she retired, but it's just a wonderful program still.
That's excellent. How long has that program been?
Since the 70s. We started in the 70s, and she stopped calling on me every year when she had 20 art therapists, and it was just amazing. I think they've been cut back a little bit, but they're moving back up again. But it's an amazing program, and truly a model, Bree. I don't think there's any other program in the country.
I've never heard.
Maybe they'll hire an art therapist. Broward will not. Palm Beach District won't. They let me go in and do research for my last book. But Miami-Dade is extraordinary, and they should be commended for what they've done.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Candy, in our last few minutes here, I'd love for you to tell us when your camp is, how long does it last, and if anyone is listening and interested, how do people find out more information?
Okay, great. Our camp is, we do two-week sessions from July 10th to July 23rd, and then from July 24th to August 6th. Children can come for 4 weeks. They can do both sessions. And we have a website, www.mainartscamp.com, and that's Maine with an E, as in the state of Maine. And you can also call us, 561-865-4330. And I want to mention that we're a small camp, so the kids get a lot of personal attention. And that's as important to us. Building self-confidence, self-esteem is just as important to us as anything else that we're doing at camp. And, the kids really thrive through getting to express themselves through the arts, because at home they often don't get to do that. So it's a safe place for them.
And are participants or students welcome to come from anywhere to come to the camp in Maine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of New Englanders because we're in Maine, but we've had international kids. We always do. We have had kids from France, Italy. We've had from Colombia, Puerto Rico, Switzerland.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Florida. Of course,
Yeah,
we get kids from Florida, too.
Sure.
And, we do pick up children at the Portland Airport and the Bangor, Maine Airport.
Where is the camp located?
Currently, we are on the college campus of Unity College, which is in Unity, Maine. And it's up the coast from Portland, about an hour and 45 minutes. But we're moving, and we're very excited, and this is really the first time I'm saying it publicly, Bree. In 2017, we're moving to we are moving to Colby College in Waterville, Maine. Wow. Colby's a very prestigious school in New England, and they have fantastic arts facilities. They have a real commitment to the arts, and that's part of why we're moving there.
Wow, that is wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there a deadline for signing up? I'm sure, just to give an idea if people are interested.
Yeah, I would say it would be good if they sign up by the end of April, May, But they certainly can feel free to contact us up until, the middle of June. If we have openings, we will be happy to work with people.
That's great. And how did you come to be running this camp in Maine? Do you live there as well?
No, I live here. I live in Florida, in Delray Beach, Florida. Rick is from Boston, and he grew up going to camp in Maine. And to him, when he was going to start his camp, it was going to be in Maine.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful place to be in the summer.
It sounds
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially that time of year.
It's perfect.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So do you live up there that time?
I
During
do.
those
I leave
sessions?
Florida for the summer, and Rick and I live in a dorm room, just like the campers and staff. And that's a nice feature, too. Some campers, some kids don't want to live in a cabin at a traditional camp. So at our camp, they get to live in a dorm room, and it's great preparation for college in the future.
Sure.
And research has shown that kids who go to overnight camp are more prepared, better prepared, when they go away to college.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Absolutely. What are the ages for the camp?
9 to 16.
Okay.
And it's co-ed. We take both boys and girls.
Very nice, very nice. So I know, being an only child, that I went to one sleepaway camp. Mom's listening. And I think that I was 16 or 17. So, how do you kind of cope with that with parents that are maybe skeptical of sending their kids away, or kids that have trouble being away from home? Is there a way to share that experience with their parents, what they've created?
Yes, absolutely. We don't allow kids, first of all, to have technology at camp, which is wonderful. No cell phones, no computers. If they're in the robotics class, they're on a computer just for that class, no internet. And so they really learn to be independent. But we tell parents, first of all, they can email their children. We print the emails and deliver them with the old-fashioned mail. Kids can't reply by email. They write old-fashioned letters. Parents can call us, though. They can call Rick and myself, and we talk to the parents. We tell them we know all the kids, and we know how they're doing. And they are welcome to call us as much as they need to, because some of them need to.
Sure,
yes.
sure.
So that's how they find out.
That's good. I had to send that out there to put some minds at ease, you know.
Right.
So again, one more time, if there's any parents or kids listening that are interested, or any artists, musicians, or creative arts therapists in the area that would like to connect with you, can you give your contact information one more time?
Absolutely. The website is www.mainartscamp.com. Phone number 561-865-4330.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Candy. And Dr. Levick, what an honor to hear your story and all the work you're doing. And you're not done. You're still going. You got a brand new job, and I'm proud to be a part of the county, that you're here in Boca, working and doing such wonderful things for the school district. It's amazing. So on behalf of Creative Arts Therapists, thank you.
You're very welcome. I really appreciated this today. Thank you.
Absolutely. And
I don't want to stop until I have to.
Right, yeah, that's
I'm going to
wonderful.
follow your mom around.
and if you're at the art room at where you live,
And I've tried to, I
use
set
that?
up a clay class for the residents, but they're not
Great.
as creative. They just really, it's tough getting them back, and a few come, but I thought it would be so good. Somebody said for the arthritis hands.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful, but, it's hard. But they have a painting class with adult coloring books, and I go crazy every time I go past it, but it's there.
I understand. With our final minute, how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions
My
for you?
telephone number is 954-420-1041. My email is Myra Levick, my name, at gmail.com. That's pretty easy. And I do have a website, and it's www, and it's also easy, Myra, all spelled out in lowercase, Myra at artpsychotherapy.com.
Beautiful. Again, ladies, thank you so much for all that you do, for taking your time to be here today, and for being such wonderful advocates and educators for creative arts therapies. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. Look forward to hearing more about creative arts therapies next week. Please, we'll hope you join us. Take care. Thank you for listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's B-R-E-E, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or